Lesson 3: Calories. In this video we are going to talk about calories. So the first thing is, what is a calorie? A calorie is simply a unit of energy. More specifically, it's the amount of energy needed to heat 1 liter of water by 1 degree Celsius. While foods may have different calorie values, and these calories may react differently within the body, a calorie is still a calorie. It's just a unit of energy. That's the important thing to remember. And now let's move on to where do we get them from? Well, we get 4 calories for every gram of protein that we consume. The same goes for carbohydrates. We have 4 calories per 1 gram of carbs. Then we get 9 calories per gram of fat. And alcohol gives us 7 calories per gram. Let's talk about calories in versus calories out, because this has a huge effect on our results. So in short, if we burn more calories than we consume, we'll lose weight. And when you combine that with smart training, the large majority of that weight will be body fat. Then on the flip side, if we consume more calories than we burn, we will gain weight. And again, combined with a smart training program, a good portion of that weight will be muscle mass. So this is why tracking our daily calorie intake and making sure we are eating the right amount for our goal is one of our 3 nutrition rules. To understand your calorie needs, first we need to know what you're trying to achieve. So in other words, what is your goal? And there are 3 main options when it comes to your calorie intake. And the first one is maintenance calories. Maintenance calories is when the number of calories you consume matches the number of calories you expend. This results in our weight staying roughly the same. Looking at this chart, the dotted line that you can see at the top is the amount of calories this person needs each day in order to maintain their weight. So that's 2,500 calories a day, or a total of 17,500 calories a week. So if this person eats 2,500 calories a day, then they will remain roughly the same weight, as their calorie intake has matched their calorie expenditure. So maintenance calories is when calories in matches calories out, and this results in us being weight stable. Next up is a calorie deficit, probably the most popular thing, and probably I think weight loss industry is about 80% of the whole revenue of the whole fitness industry. So this will be the main thing and usually the focus on why people join gyms. We like to promote strength, but it will be unavoidable that at some point the goal is fat loss. So now, if you're like most people, you've tried loads of different diets and some will have worked and some didn't. But whether you realize it or not, every diet that worked because you were in a calorie deficit. That's how every single diet on the whole planet works for fat loss, and there are no exception for this. They are all work by controlling your calorie intake. Here are some examples. For example, you got the Atkins diet. This diet works by restricting the amount of carbs you can eat each day, which causes you to consume less calories. You have intermittent fasting, very popular now, unlike Atkins diet that was like more 90s and 80s. Intermittent fasting works by only allowing you to eat during a relatively short window of time, which often results in you eating less food over the course of the day, therefore consuming less calories. Then you have 5-2 diet. This allows you to eat normally for 5 days, and then you have 2 fast or eat less than 500 calories a day for 2 days. This obviously means that 2 days a week you are barely eating any food, which of course results in you consuming less calories over the course of the week and puts you in a calorie deficit. You've got the keto diet, which is pretty much 0 carbs. So you've eradicated one macronutrient group from your daily diet, which leads to, you guessed, consuming less calories. Then you have the paleo diet, which is, in its purest form. Paleo removes all calorie dense and processed foods from your life, meaning that you consume less calories. If you have things like Slimming World, for example, they use a point system, or like Weight Watchers, to control the amount of food you eat every day, which, if you do it right, results in you consuming less calories, because those points are usually assigned higher number of points for the higher calorie dense foods. And the list goes on, but I think you got the idea now, and all diets work for fat loss by controlling your calorie intake in some way or another. It's the difference between those diets is what is more suitable for your lifestyle and what is easier for you to adopt, like we talked about in building habits in a previous lesson. So when it comes to fat loss, calories, math, and there's plenty of science to prove it, math works. So in fact, there was 2017, there was a study that basically reviewed all of the available scientific literature and came to the conclusion that for weight loss, the calories in versus calories out model is strongly supported by all available scientific evidence. So let's take a look at the calorie deficit. Again, the dotted line is the person. The dotted line is not the person. The dotted line is the amount of calories a person needs each day to maintain their weight. So 2,500 calories a day, or 17,500 calories over the course of the week. Now, let's say this person only consumed 2,000 calories a day. That's about 500 calories less a day than their body needs to stay the same. And that's about 3,500 calories less a week. This means that we've created that calorie deficit, and over the course of the week, they consumed 3,500 calories less than they would not expected to consume. And that equals to 1 pound of fat. And that means that this person is on track to lose 1 pound of fat per week. There are few different ways to create a calorie deficit. The first is to lower your calorie intake, like we just showed you in the chart. Second is to increase your activity levels, which is something we'll talk about in later video. And the third and probably most common way is to use a combination of both. So keeping a slightly higher food intake while at the same time increasing our energy output by being more active. All right, so let's look at the calorie surplus now. This is when calories in is greater than the calories out, leading to weight gain. This usually happens in two instances. First, if we overeat and overconsume calories and gain body fat. Second, if we consume slightly less calories more than we should on purpose, with the aim to provide our bodies with just enough calories to build some muscle mass. So let's take a look at the chart again. You have a dotted line at 2,500 calories a day, or 17,500 calories a week. And now let's say this person A, consumed 3,000 calories a day, and that's about 500 calories more each day than their body needs to stay the same. This means that they've created a calorie surplus, and over the course of the week they've consumed 3,500 calories more than they've expended. This will lead to weight gain, and with the right training, a good portion of this can be muscle mass. But for most people, over time, this is what leads to the big gains in body fat. But instead of being in a consistent calorie surplus, like you can see on this chart, what often happens is the weekend causing the weight gain, and I'm going to explain why. So as you can see on this chart, all week this person is eating roughly the amount of calories they need to stay the same, and sometimes it might be even a bit less. Then on Saturday and Sunday, they blow over that target by, let's say, 1,000 calories each day by having takeaways and alcohol, and now they are in calorie surplus for the week and gradually gaining body fat. So even when you eat at maintenance throughout the week, you can still sort of blow it out with a weekend. So calories matter, especially when you're trying to make positive changes to our body, and it's important for you to track them. Best is to do every day, as close as you can, and speak to myself or one of the coaches about hitting your targets and how to set it up for yourself.